I was calling my friend. I'm like, why am I walking so far? Why did the Waymo drop me off, 2 blocks away? And she said, oh, because the robots don't understand how to go down alleys. I'm like, okay.
Are we going to teach it?
Yeah. I mean, do we need to teach it? I don't know. I think that it's good that these robots have limitations. Hi, everyone. Welcome to My Lawyer Friend. I'm your host, Anne Easton.
And I'm your co-host, Brittany Ledford. We're here to break down legal topics and lifestyle commentary with our lawyer friend, Anne.
That's us. Casual, informative, and always real. Let's get into it. Before we start, the information, opinions, and recommendations presented on My Lawyer Friend podcast are for general informational purposes only and shouldn't be construed as legal advice on any subject matter. You shouldn't act or refrain from acting on the basis of any content included on this podcast without seeking legal or other professional advice. We are simply providing insight into our past professional experiences, and should you need legal advice, you can certainly contact me, or we can connect you with an able-minded attorney.
Hello, Anne.
Hi there. Hi.
It's been a week.
It's been only a week, we both had a very long week.
We did.
And you've started, have you broken ground?
Not yet.
On the kitchen?
Yeah, doing a kitchen remodel. That's going to be happening soon. But all the prep work, what do they say? Preparing, I don't know, something about
prior preparation prevents piss poor performance.
Yeah.
That's what my dad said.
That's it. That's it.
Like that's what it is.
I'm in that stage right now, but I heard.
What'd you do with your washer and dryer?
Oh, that's going to be probably going on Facebook Marketplace for anyone who wants it.
Yeah. She's got some pretty great ones, guys.
I do.
Yeah. Yeah. But hopefully by the time this comes out, you still have them, maybe? Anyway.
Doubt it.
So we today are going to be talking about a really big topic. I think it's probably the most talked about thing in 2025, and that is AI and its integration into our daily lives.
Especially the legal world.
I know.
I'm excited, Anne. I'm really excited, and I'll tell you why. Because this is a place where I can come talk to my lawyer friend. Mm-hmm. I run into a lot of legal questions, and this is a space where I can come and ask you those questions without any judgment.
Right?
And a little bit of free legal advice.
But reminder, everyone, this isn't advice. I don't represent Brittany.
Exactly. Thank you for the disclaimer, Anne.
Yeah.
But today, I'm super excited because I've had this question for a while. I saved it for today.
Amazing.
Because I've been running into, AI in the business world.
Right.
There's a lot of speculation out there. How's it going to change our life? But already we're seeing how it can change our life. And for me, I'm always looking at running a slim business, keeping my overhead low. And a lot of my, fees each month go to legal because I always want to stay, wrapped up in what's right, what's legal, and limit my liability.
We all got to make money, Brittany.
Yeah, and we do. And I know you attorneys need to as well. And so I guess the question for you, let me get to this question.
Go for it.
Do I send the deal or details of the deal or the contract to my ChatGPT friend and have it create this thing that I need for me?
Mm-hmm. And you want to cut out the middleman.
Sorry, I love you.
You want to cut me out, right?
I don't want to, but I do want to save the money.
Right.
So what's your perspective on that?
Honestly, this is a question that everyone is asking. And in my opinion, I think there's a limit to what AI can do for you on the legal front in general. I mean, it's really a great place to start because I know that you're not going to get people to not use AI. I even use it sometimes. But so I'll start with, you're not doing the wrong thing.
Okay.
I think because no matter what you're doing, the AI is teaching you something and you're going to learn something. Whether or not you're going to retain that is another question. But I think that it's a great place to start. However, there's only so much that AI can give you. Like there is a limit to what it can give you, especially when you think about the nuances of a contract and the things that I would know from the 10 years of doing this versus versus what AI is going to generate for you in terms of like the deal terms or just the general agreement and like overall. So in my opinion, I think it's great to have as a skeleton. It's for the bare bones of a contract. And I mean, I brought my laptop over because I want to be able to bring it up. I'm going to type into my, Google Genius thing. Okay. So I'm saying draft me a release agreement for a podcast guest.
Okay.
Here it goes. So it starts with, the preamble. It tells me who the parties are, and then it gets into the permissions to use, waiver of rights, and then it gives you a lot of the boilerplate stuff, which is the general, fun stuff like release and indemnity, confidentiality, governing law. But this is, as I was saying, it's the bare bones. It gives you just enough in order to make a contract, but you don't really know what you don't know.
Exactly. That's been my concern of, you've said it before, lawyer fees are expensive, but litigation is even more expensive. And exactly. I remember you telling me that.
I get it. I have clients tell me this all the time. I have them say, Anne, I would love to have you continue working with me, but I can't afford you. Yeah. I'm like, okay, well, what can you afford? So I do work with my clients on those fees. And okay. I don't want to ever leave anyone high and dry. I know that they need help, and I know that they, especially artists who are creating documentaries or like passion projects, that they need financing, and I know that I'm helping further that along. But anyway, so in terms of what the AI generates, it's not going to give you the nuances of a particular area of law, like especially with this release agreement. It's going to give you like waiver of rights. It says that the guest has to waive all of their rights to, their likeness, their voice, their name, and, the producer of that podcast is going to own all of those things and what they do. However, what I would recommend for you, and which is what I put in your agreement, is that you would be able to have an approval over what you look like in a particular episode, in a clip, or a photo that we release. And those are things that don't get put into the AI generated contract, because all of that information is confidential. Most of those contracts are confidential. And what is everything on these AI systems? It's public information generally. And we'll get into that later as well. But
yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah. So would it be crazy for me to maybe start with AI and say, generate this contract for, for me, for example, I would need a purchase agreement in my world.
Right.
And I would say create it, and I could give it certain stipulations. And then would it be crazy for me to create such document and then give it to you to review as my attorney, to cut out some of the legal fees of having you to go and create these documents for me? Or how does that work from your perspective? What does that look like? Is that even possible?
Well, yes, it's absolutely possible. But in theory, you'd think that that would be more cost efficient, but it's not.
Okay.
Because you give me that agreement and I'm going to look at it and I'm going to have to read that agreement.
Okay.
And then I'm going to have to go to my forms to make sure that everything that you're going to need in that agreement is there. When I have really great purchase agreement forms that we can just use that are mine.
Okay.
And that's why it's great to go to an attorney and get that input, basically, because that attorney, if depending on how long they've been working, they probably have a whole catalog of forms that they can refer to that they've worked on for years, and they know how to advise you on those forms.
They're more familiar with those forms
Correct.
Too, so they really know the ins and outs of it, and it seems like maybe a little bit more efficient to do it that way.
Yeah, and the law is the law. Like it doesn't change that much. I mean, it does if you want to change. Obviously it's changing right now because of AI, but like, particular language that has protected big studios is, kind of standard across the board.
Okay.
And you'll see a lot of the same language because, whatever protected Disney from this huge litigation that they went through in the 90s is now protecting Paramount and Warner Brothers. And it's similar language, even though, that's not a great example because they all have their own forms and their own language anyway. But it sounds very similar in a lot of ways. The goal, though, is to make sure that you have the right language to protect yourself.
Yeah.
And I don't think that AI takes you to the finish line.
Do you see a time and a place where in the future we will get closer to a place where I say we, people who might need a little break on lawyer fees can find it useful in some meaningful way when it comes to legal?
Well, I think that it definitely is going to be meaningful for not necessarily the individual, but it's going to be very useful for large corporations who have lots of different people who work for them. I mean, potentially lots of independent contractors, lots of employees, lots of, on the studio side and what I do, lots of talent that work with them. And specifically, I know that what's happening at really large studios is that they are asking their large law firm attorneys to help them train the AI, essentially.
Yeah.
So it
almost becomes like an assistant to them in a way. Is that
Yeah. So it's what you're seeing at these big law firms is these poor A-level associates are watching their jobs being taken away. However, it's only to an extent because of our ethics as attorneys, the AI can't be the last, the last use,
say.
the final say, unless obviously if it's touched an attorney's hands, then it can't be the AI that is the last final say or that becomes the contract that everybody signs, because we have these legal ethical duties that say we have to ensure that there's particular language in there, that we are covering all of our bases, that we know that our client is adequately protected. We have fiduciary duties to them. And, but if you used an AI contract and you haven't talked to an attorney, then nothing's going to happen. Other than you might get sued.
Right. And then if I get sued, it's kind of on me, I would assume. I mean, there's nothing to save me, would you say, in a sense that...
Well, no, you still have a contract.
I have a contract, but I'm saying if there's some type of hole in that contract, is it kind of, should have paid the money for a lawyer?
Yeah, that's kind of like a shoulda, coulda, woulda thing.
My dad used to say, if you're going to be dumb, you got to be tough.
Yeah, that's good too. I like that.
And I don't think it's dumb. I just think I was trying to be savvy over here.
Right.
So.
Well, I mean, you got to be scrappy if you're going to make silly decisions, like not using a lawyer for your asset purchase agreement.
But you did mention earlier in our conversation that you do use AI in your practice from time to time. What does that look like? You did mention it. You snuck it in there. Yikes. And I just am curious, asking for a friend. Yeah. What does that look like for you?
Well, that's a great question. Obviously, I'm not shy about saying that I do use it sometimes because it is helpful. It helps move things along a little bit faster. And it's like, if I forget one little thing that, should maybe be in a deal or that should be in a contract, it does give me that basic agreement that I would need. However, the way that I use it, I think is a really helpful way to use it, is that I'm not just trying to get the information and learn from it. I generate an input, which is my question to them. Okay. And then when the AI generates whatever it is, I then say, okay, well, that's not exactly what I need. That actually helped me realize that I need different information. Can you tweak it so that it sounds a little bit different? And then it then will give me different language. Like a good example was when I was drafting something the other day and I was trying to think of this tie break language that I really, really liked. Say you're doing a collaboration agreement with somebody or even there's a studio that's working with a producer. They say that, everyone has mutual approval over creative and business controls. However, somebody has the tie break if there's a disagreement. So I knew that I had used language when I was working at the firm that I really liked, and I knew that it was very succinct and to the point. So I used AI in order to generate what I had sort of remembered using in the past, and I got to the point I needed to get to by using AI, essentially.
That's cool.
But I revised it. I revised it, whatever AI generated.
Right. You made it your own eventually.
But
it gives you the idea. It
exactly.
Kind of sparks your memory or thoughts. And so, I want to kind of switch gears slightly and say another thing you mentioned briefly, but I want to get a little bit more into, and this is kind of an uncomfortable conversation to have, but I think it's necessary. We're all wondering, is AI going to render my job obsolete, being whatever profession you're in? And there are definitely professions that we're already seeing that happen. And in your world, I could see where there would be some fear that it will, I guess, threaten your position as an attorney. But I don't know what your thoughts are and I'm looking 10 years out, when we're all in self-driving cars, no one has a driveway because we don't own cars anymore. We just hail a self-driving car on the street. That's my dream, at least.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts? Do you have any opinion on this, or, do you have that crystal ball? What do you think?
Well, I mean, that's a really great question. And I actually wrote some stuff down about it. That's what I've been looking for. And that's why I put my glasses on.
Yeah. Your lawyer glasses.
My lawyer glasses. But, yes and no. I do think that AI has the capacity to take over a lot of jobs. And I did kind of already touch on that with regard to the A-level associates, which for those who don't know, at big law firms, they have levels. There's the A level where it's right when you get out of law school, your first year, second year, third year, and you're an A level. And then the second, prong is the managing level associate, which is an M. And then you get to counsel, and then you get to partner.
Okay.
But so I do believe that the A-level associates are at the biggest disadvantage here and especially I think it's a big problem, in my opinion, for the legal profession in general, because what's happening is these large corporations are using AI to their benefit to streamline the process, to make their legal fees smaller.
Right.
And they're having these A-level associates teach the AI programs how to do their jobs for them. And because a lot of what you do when you're first learning it is a lot of cookie cutter lawyering, where we have a form and we're told that you can put in particular language, and then you have to stick within this particular criteria that the company has already approved. And a lot of it is trial and error. You make mistakes and you see why the negotiation happens back and forth. But if they cut all of that out, it's possible that we're creating a generation of attorneys that don't know how to problem solve and don't know how to make the mistake and get through those issues. However, I think that what potentially could be happening is that their role may just be changing. It might not be what I did and how I learned, but what may happen, it may be a little bit easier. They may become more of a manager of the AI than a person who's doing, in my opinion, it was a menial, very monotonous task where I had to use particular language and I had to insert it and it had to be perfect and I couldn't copy and paste. It was so daunting having to do those forms. And so I understand why the AI is going to be great for that, but I did learn so much. And the fact of the matter is that I still have that tie break language in my head because I wrote it so many times. And I think that there's a difference between typing it yourself in your brain and reviewing it to make sure that a computer has done it right.
It's absolutely a memory.
Yeah.
It's, repetitive.
Exactly.
Getting, sinking into your memory over time. And I guess when you were saying that, my thought was, well, how do you go from A to M if you don't have the opportunity to go to A to M? There has to be a way. Well, there has to be a pathway. Will be. And there will be, because we need the M's and the C's.
The M's and the C's and the P's. Yes, we need them all.
We need them all.
We do.
You have to get there. And I think we all as individuals and, us as humans, we adapt. And so maybe that instead of becoming obsolete, like you said, it's looking different, where kids now are working with iPads and we worked with books in school.
I know.
Where kids are carrying cell phones and we could never even own a cell phone until we were driving.
Did you know that I heard that they're not teaching kids how to type anymore in school?
What?
Yeah, and they're not teaching them cursive.
I did hear the cursive thing, and I'm like, when I'm in a hurry, it goes cursive fast.
Cursive, and I mean, it's pretty.
And it's beautiful.
Yeah.
When you have good hand, I don't have good penmanship, but I have seen some beautiful cursive.
Agreed. I know. Anyway,
so
the world is shifting into a weird place.
Maybe for those of you out there looking for a side gig, learn cursive, keep it up.
Exactly, because no one's going to know how to do it.
You will be paid lots of money to write in cursive for someone one day.
Exactly.
For their
calligraphy specialist.
Their wedding invitations.
Yes, exactly. You could corner the market.
Handwritten.
Totally corner the market.
Absolutely.
These doomsday thoughts that we're all going to lose all of our jobs. I mean, I have a brother who is very doomsday about stuff. And I think we take it with a grain of salt. And ultimately, I really do believe that, and I think that we're going to touch on this a little bit in a bit, but I do believe that we as a society, as a human race, should be working with each other, essentially. Like the private sector that's making these technologies should be working with our government, our public sector, and they should be working together in order to teach each other things. Like they should each be educating on the technology on the private sector, and the public sector should be teaching about what democracy is and how we can ensure everyone's rights are protected, and that this is basically going to turn to human rights, in my opinion.
I think so too, I think we're coming in. You can laugh. We're coming into the age of Aquarius, and I truly, my granola friends and I.
Age of Aquarius.
It is. It's a thing, and I think it's such a. Aquarius. I don't want to go down that path, but I do think that it's a very interesting time, because we now are forced to look, no longer look inward, but look outside of ourselves and work as a community. And I think this is part of what we're talking about is what does that look like, and also. Will we be doing more of the 4-day work weeks because we have robots doing these things for us? I mean, that's another question to think about in these professions that do still require the knowledge and skill of a human being who's ever learning, ever evolving.
Yeah.
So a lot of great questions. It's always, every time I see anything, an article, a podcast, anything with AI, and I know I'm not alone, I'm always clicking on that one. I want to hear that topic. Where are we right now? What's the verdict now? And I think it's so funny because no one knows. And that can be fun and it can be terrifying.
Well, that's the cool thing too, that what is happening right now, there's at least 30 plus cases against some of the biggest companies in the world that are generating the most money in the world, where they are being sued by a lot of different copyright holders for their use of AI in certain ways. And those cases are actually going to decide how we operate, essentially, with this technology.
Yes.
And it's really interesting. Most of these cases are in California as well as in New York. Naturally, it's in the Second Circuit, which is New York, and the Ninth Circuit, which is California. And those cases are being decided right now. So say, I'm not going to give specifics on particular cases, but one was with Claude, the Anthropic company. And what they found was that the way that Claude was adapting the information of copyrighted material was that they had purchased old books that they had found. And those books were then, copied and then added to the system because they were used purely for an educational service of the AI, right? But in that same case, they found that the 7 billion other books that they used from piracy were found to not be fair use because obviously that was it was copyright infringement because it was piracy. However, that was one case. In another case that was decided in the same month with Meta, it was decided kind of the opposite way because they found that the pirated materials were used only to help AI learn something. But then it went on to this whole other facet of the law that is still being litigated, which I'm not an expert on and I don't want to opine on currently because
Sure.
I think it's still being discussed and it's very nuanced, and I think it may actually confuse our listeners if I get too much more into it.
Well, and I think a surface level, this is fun stuff to listen to and to be kind of ahead of just knowing what's going on in the world. And
absolutely.
People like myself who are calling their lawyer friend, it's nice to learn another little tidbit of information about what's going on in the world and legal, especially with AI.
I know.
It's going to be an ongoing topic, I think,
it
for
is
many
totally.
years.
I mean, it's going to be touching on every facet of our lives,
Yeah, I do. I've had a lot of fun with this today. I don't have a crystal ball, but I do foresee us having a few other episodes in the future that relate to this matter because there's so many other facets of this that we could get into. So I'm excited.
Totally. I know, me too.
And I appreciate all the things that I've learned today. I'm going to take it back and probably not use Claude as my, funny little side note. I asked, because I use my AI so much, I said, hey, can I give you a name? I had this human need to name my buddy. It's my new little friend.
Yeah. Do you say thank you?
Of course I do. I'm a Southern girl. I was taught to be polite.
Yeah.
And I also cuss at her too. But I don't know if it's a male or female. It won't tell me. And I said, can I give you a name? What is your name? Doesn't have a name, and said, we are not allowed, whatever wording it was, not allowed to get a name.
Well, it's
I'm very offended.
Yeah, I mean,
I felt lonely.
It
in
isn't
the moment.
anything. It doesn't have a gender. It's a computer.
This is hard. This was a hard one for me because
Do you ask Waymo when you get into your Waymo whether or not?
I'm just happy to not have to smell or talk to someone while I'm
I
riding
know,
down the road.
I know. However, maybe a Waymo isn't going to get you where you need to go.
It might. I want you to tell me more about that in this next episode,
Yeah,
in this
I will.
next
Yeah.
segment, because
So silly.
yeah, we have a lot to talk about on the fun side.
We'll unpack it. Yeah.
After this.
Yeah. After this.
Hang tight, guys. We'll
Thanks.
be back.
Alrighty, welcome back. We are now getting into our version of the fun topic, which is still kind of about AI, but we might get into some other stuff. You ready, Britt?
I'm ready. I know we talked earlier in the previous segment about you using it at work in your law firm. How do you personally use AI on a daily basis?
Well, I mean, I'm now a new business owner, and I'm working on a bunch of different ventures. So I use AI for helping me in the same way that I use it in my legal practice, helping me shape my ideas. Mm-hmm. So I have an idea that I need financing for, and I didn't go to business school, so I don't know how to create. I mean, I can figure it out, but I don't know how to create a financing proposal or a business plan.
Sure.
But obviously, I can find those pretty quickly when I type it into ChatGPT, and it generates something that's relatively helpful. And then from there, I can piecemeal my own knowledge that I've gained over the years. And then I can also talk to people who are MBAs, which I have lots of friends who are, and then have them look over my business plan. So that's how I've been using it a lot. And I mean, I ask it the normal things like, why is the sky blue? No, I don't ask that question. I'm kidding. But
yeah, but curiosities.
Stuff like that. But like curiosities, like I will type into ChatGPT, like, what's my sign? What's my sign for the day? For Cancer. Tell me what is in store for me. Have you ever done that?
No, in ChatGPT?
Yeah.
No, but I'm not opposed to it.
What's your sign again?
I'm a Virgo.
Oh yeah. That's why we connect. So my facialist told me once.
You're a Cancer.
Yes, I'm a Cancer, and she told me that I should never date a Cancer man. Okay. Because Cancer men generally, unless they've done a lot of self-work, tend to be very immature and really emotional and unable to provide the strong masculine energy that I apparently need, which is what she thinks. Okay. And she said that I would be better equipped for someone who's a Virgo or a Leo or what's the other one that's like September? Who's a
Libra.
September? A Libra.
A Libra. Yeah. I do this weird dance with Virgos where I don't initially have this. So Hillary. Yeah. Liked her from not that I don't like them. It's just I have this energy between a Virgo where I have to feel them out. We're particular. We're an acquired taste. Totally are. Yeah. And I'm an acquired taste.
You totally did that to me too. You felt me out a little bit.
I did.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah, I did.
Still feeling you out. Yeah. And it's funny because there's something with a Virgo, I can't put my finger on it. Where I'm like, I like this person, but I'm not gonna let my guard down. Right. And every time it's a Virgo, I'm like, I'll just ask casually, but later, what's your sign? Just curious, and it's a Virgo every time. I have a few friends like that, and I love them. I think they're great. I'm just like, oh, you're one of me.
Oh, where you're quietly. Not judgmental, but just quietly.
No, it's not judgmental. We're not judgmental.
Observant. Quietly observant.
Yeah, because we have an opinion.
Right. So
I'm also very loyal.
Right. So I'm loyal too. That's a common thing that we have. No wonder.
Cancers are very nurturing. So
very nurturing, but also we have this very tough exterior where to a lot of people I'm very mysterious, but once you get to know me, I'm really just very soft and emotional and romantic when you really get to know me. Yeah. But yeah, for anyone who doesn't know me, I'm kind of a bit scary, I think. A little hard, a hard shell, the crab.
I think it's interesting for women in general I don't think it's anything to do with the sign. I think it's women in general who are confident and are self-assured are very intimidating. And I'm confident and probably not
Yeah.
always rightfully self-assured, but I am self-assured. And
Right.
I'm a very strong, we just said it, I'm a very strong personality.
Right. I think we both have that in common as well.
Yeah. And I have, when people say, oh, so-and-so doesn't like you, I'm like, well, tell them,
Who
get in
cares?
line.
Yeah, get in line. Right? So many. I mean,
Definitely
if
haven't lost sleep about it.
that was one of the things that I think, like, I learned in my 30s was to, like, be okay with the fact that everyone isn't going to like me. And,
Yes.
and to let go of the fact that it's like, oh, I said something stupid yesterday and maybe this person is going to judge me forever, but I don't care.
I like to know where I stand with people. And I've
Mm-hmm.
had such a strong personality my whole life that you either like me or you don't like me.
Right.
And I really don't want to be that person where people are like lukewarm about me. I have no problem with someone just being like, oh,
Well-
she's okay. For me, it's like either like me or don't. Just don't waste my time. Don't waste my time. If you don't
that's
like me,
also-
don't waste my time.
But that's also you trying to control how someone feels about you, you know, like
Not control it. I don't want to waste my time around people that don't like me, is what I'm saying.
Well, I'm
Yeah.
so on board with that.
Yeah.
And
I
I'm like,
definitely don't wanna
why do
control.
I want to be around people who are like being mean to me? I would so much rather be around someone who's going to lift me up and make me feel
Yeah.
better.
Or someone who's like
Yeah.
lukewarm and they're just like, meh, whatever. I want you to either have my back or walk away.
Right? I know. So this turned into a longer conversation.
It did.
Too much of I mean, it's not too much. It was a nice conversation about our signs. And here we go. Should we get back to the AI discussion?
Yeah, I think we have some fun stuff to talk about with, AI in we're talking about life and AI
Right.
in life right now. And
Yeah.
from a human perspective, what does this look like? What is on everyone's mind right now and what are we facing? You've had some
Right.
really interesting topics that you've brought to me recently, and I wanted to hear a little bit about your interest in what you've learned about the healthcare sector, because it was
Yeah.
really cool.
I know. So, I mean, I actually learned this simply because I was talking to my my brother again, who's like a notorious learner. He loves learning things. And I was telling him that we were going to do an episode about AI. And he's like, well, why don't you talk about the positives and negatives? And I was like, yeah, that's definitely what we're going to do.
Absolutely.
And he's like, well, have you heard about like what they're doing with healthcare with AI? And I'm like, yeah, but it's not good, you know, in terms of with like psychologists, you know, a lot of children and kids and teenagers are using ChatGPT as their therapist, and the therapist actually, and you know, the AI in certain scenarios is giving really terrible advice and almost like tells them that they should, you know, they have some like grandiose like feeling of what this kid should be doing or what they should feel about themselves. And I think it's negative in that way. However, in a positive way, I learned that there's this company called Therabot, and they are working with Dartmouth. It's a bunch of Dartmouth researchers who have done a clinical trial study with Therabot, which is it's like a therapist that's a AI generated robot that is providing therapy advice to patients that have all gone into this study. And they've actually found through this clinical trial that people with depression and anxiety, it got like 29 to like 50% better. And they reported feeling better, like with those symptoms in general. And it was just a robot that they were talking to.
Yeah, it's just I guess this just shows you the power of educating someone
Exactly.
on their condition and their circumstances. And you don't always have to be that. I guess there's a human element that's probably important, but
Right.
yeah, that's so interesting.
Right? It's super interesting. I mean, and then I think I touched on this a little bit in general, though, that like with the AI stuff, we as a society, I think really should think about how we're engaging with AI, essentially, and how we're using it like either to our advantage or to our disadvantage. Like literally on my phone, I have my mail, my text messages, my phone, and then Google. Like, so I am using Google all day long.
Yeah.
So I'm using AI all day long.
All day.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
However, that's one of the negatives I think that they've actually found. They've done studies where I think that what's that guy? The Diary of a CEO guy, Stephen Bartlett.
Oh, you love him.
Yeah.
Yes.
So they did a study, and he did this the other day. He had on a couple of scientists, as he does, to talk about a particular study about some children or like college students who had been asked to write an essay. And one of them used AI in order to write the essay, and the other group didn't use AI at all. They just had to use, their knowledge and then like normal research structures. So they actually found that the people who used AI didn't retain they basically didn't retain anything that they used. Like after they generated the information, they read it and they approved it and then changed it up a little bit, but they didn't retain it at all. But and I mean, I'm sure there's like, a percentage. It was a 47% cognitive decline of those who used AI in order to write the paper versus those who didn't.
Right.
And in a lot of ways, I think that the owners of these multi-billion-dollar companies that are dealing with the technology should be working with our policymakers to ensure that the general public isn't being hurt by this down the line. I mean, and I don't think that our history has shown that we support the general health of our people as much as we do about, the corporation and the money in our pockets, right?
Absolutely.
And we can see that within, healthcare and the food industry and everything with all our preservatives that we have. But in general, I think that if we do see that as an opportunity for us to work together, it can be managed and it can be used for the greater good, I think.
I think timing is everything too. Yeah. And I think you're right. And, as much crap as we give this younger generation, one thing that I do admire about them, and I'm trying my hardest to embrace them, because the millennials got a bad rap when we were in that age group, and now it's the Gen Zers, and they have a lot to contribute and they have a lot to learn, although I say they were all born knowing everything, right? But they have so much to contribute to our society because they are so communal. Although they seem to be a lot like isolated more than we are. They still find a way to look after the person beside them. It's an interesting concept that I've seen with the interns and some of the workers that I have working with me and for me.
They have more empathy than
they're definitely more empathetic.
Before them. Definitely way more empathetic than the boomers. Oh my gosh.
They definitely are.
I've talked so much about how I use AI. How do you use AI on a daily basis?
Honestly, very similar to the way you're using it, to be honest. I like to ask these, we call it curiosities, throughout the day. And sometimes it'll be something as simple as, what is the best, certain dish, like what's the best lasagna in Los Angeles, and it'll give me the list. And I find myself needing to lean on it when it comes to, I guess, data-driven information that I'm not comfortable having at my, like knowing off of the top of my head, and it's nice to have it at my fingertips.
Right. So we can be credible, just like I just did with the 47%.
And I've been doing that a lot. And I guess specifically when it comes to citing things in, so I do have a business plan for my businesses, and I do want to run things off. I love data. I collect data on everything. And so I'll ask my little friend who won't be named, refuses to be named, to put together data for me.
Claude. His name is Claude.
Well, I wanted a different name. Okay. I want to have a different friend.
Oh.
And I like to take that data and look at, like analyze that data to run my companies better, to make us more efficient.
Yeah.
And like we talk about in our personal lives, our day-to-day life, and this is my day-to-day life is work. I work 7 days a week.
Yeah.
So on a personal level, I'm using AI. I think every time I jump into a Waymo, every week when I go, when I come here, I like to be able to relax on my way here and not have to drive. And I'll be honest, I feel...
And then I have to drive.
Yeah, you do have to drive. That's your choice. And I feel very safe. I feel very safe in the Waymo. And
I do too.
It's interesting.
It goes really slow. It goes the speed limit.
It does. And I'm learning to be with it.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
So I had an experience with Waymo the other day where I went to Venice canals, and I was going to visit a friend.
Yeah,
Yeah, remember when
this
I told you?
This is a great story.
Yeah,
I'm glad you're sharing it.
I went to the Venice canals, and she obviously, I mean, if anyone knows about LA, the canals have little like alleyways, and then they have sidewalks, you know, that go down the canals. So the Waymos actually will only drive to a certain area, like down an actual street. But the Waymos don't actually understand how to go down the alleys. And I was calling my friend. I'm like, why am I walking so far? Why did the Waymo drop me off, 2 blocks away? And she said, oh, because the robots don't understand how to go down alleys. I'm like, okay.
Are we going to teach it?
Yeah. I mean, do we need to teach it? I don't know. I think that it's good that these robots have limitations.
They do, but it's also first iteration. We'll get there. It's going to be doing a lot. They're going to be doing
I do really love it when you get in. It's like really quiet, and it says like welcome, and it goes, it's like you can kind of like just relax and get in.
That's why I say I don't have to smell anyone. I don't have to talk to anyone.
And they used to be like much cheaper, but they're now the same price as an Uber.
So, okay. So you're telling me, Anne, about you're saying, can we teach this, or will this robot learn how to go down an alleyway? And
I don't think that we need to.
I don't know that we need to either. And I think that we need to leave some things up to humans to always know. But you told me about a concept that I really fell in love with. And I want you to be the one to talk about this, because it really relates to, or it is specifically in a lot of ways relating to AI and how humans are going to perceive it, work with it, or work against it. And it's I think a Japanese concept, and I think it's called wabi-sabi. Yeah. Is that what it is?
Yeah. So I feel like I'm digesting so much different content constantly. And especially now, I don't know if anyone else feels this, but I feel like everything online, there's just so much information. And when I find something that's actually really resonates with me and that's really calm and very human, it stops me. Like generally I go quickly through it, right? So I found this, it was another Diary of a CEO thing, and he had on this guy Simon Sinek. Okay. But he has this really calm voice. I really like him. But he talks about like relationships and people and why it's so important for us to have other humans in our lives that we have relationships with. But he talked about this Japanese concept. It's called wabi-sabi, and it's this design concept of beauty where something that is temporary or imperfect is really extremely beautiful. And he related this to machines and machine-made things. Like this table was probably made by a machine, and there are multiple other tables that look exactly like this, and they're not unique. But there's these bowls that the Japanese make. They're the Japanese bowls, and because they're made by hand, they're not completely perfect. There's always maybe like a little bit of a ridge that is off.
No two are alike. Yeah.
And no two are alike. And I think that that's why we as humans we can tell that something is AI generated because it is too perfect. But it's why we love human beings, because we are imperfect. And I think that it's how we know that we love someone is when we accept them for all of their imperfections. Then they also do the same for us. They accept us for all of our imperfections.
Very true.
So that's, I think, a good way to close that. While AI is going to help us a lot, I think that we humans are imperfect, and that's what makes us really special.
I think so too. That's actually very beautiful.
Yeah.
I love that story. And
right? You're real special.
I'm special. You're special.
Yeah. You just said that like you're special.
She's special, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh my God. Okay. Now ask me your funny question.
I do have a funny question. We always end with a funny question. And my question this week for you is, I don't know if I want to answer it, but
you're going to have to, girlfriend.
I know. What's the pettiest hill you're willing to die on?
When I feel someone really deserves it, something that I've done. So a good example of, I think the worst that I could probably do without apologizing is, say your ex has your Netflix password and you notice that they're probably dating somebody new because they're watching some trashy like dating show that this particular person would never watch in a million years. So you think to yourself, okay, what should I do first so that they start noticing that I know that they're watching these terrible TV shows and using my Netflix account. So the first thing that I did was to change the profile that used to be his that I changed just to X. And then I changed that to time to get your own account, loser. And I waited about a week, and then I had a friend actually tell me this. She said, Anne, what I think you should do, that was the good first step. What I think you should do is see what they're watching, make sure it's like a really good show, that's going to leave you on a cliffhanger, and it's like, like there's a murder involved. So they were watching that new show, The Hunting Wives.
Yes.
Which is so good.
So
I watched
good.
it. It's actually not that good. Brittany Snow, you're great. You were really good in it, but it's not a great show.
It is good.
But it has all the stuff. It has the sex, the murder, the crime, the like intrigue, the guns, the Texans. It's got all the stuff. But so I waited until they got to episode 7. And then I changed my password.
I actually think this
so that
really
loser
brilliant.
has to get his own account now.
Yeah.
So his new girlfriend can use it. I don't care. There's my petty hill.
There's your petty hill. I wonder how long she had to wait to watch episode 7.
I know. Episode 8, actually, because I let them get to episode 7.
Episode 8. Okay, got it.
Yeah. Okay. Your turn. Penny's Till.
You always have the best answers, and today you outdid me as well. But I guess it's not a contest. I will share since we're both sharing. And
okay,
years ago I was dating a guy, and I was making the money, and he was a nice looking guy. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I'm like, that's what he contributed because I did the cooking. I did the shopping.
He contributed his attractiveness.
His good looks. That's about it.
Yeah.
And
you hear that, guys?
I had recently.
We only want you because you're handsome sometimes. Sometimes. Not all the time. Sometimes we want you to do the dishes.
It didn't work out. And I had bought him some really nice clothes from Bloomingdale's. And so as soon as I left, those clothes left. And I gave him to a guy friend of mine who was very excited to wear some designer clothing from Bloomingdale's.
Gosh, did he ever come back and ask for them?
He knew better.
Oh, wow. My gosh. So it was just like, you don't have them anymore.
I bought it. It's mine.
Wow.
I'm not like that, really. I just needed that little dig, final dig. It was an exhausting year.
Oh, I'm sure.
It was an exhausting year.
He deserves
this person.
That.
Yeah.
He definitely deserves that.
That's my hill.
It's a good hill. Anyway, this was fun and interesting, enlightening, and I'm sure we could continue talking about it, but because everyone's talking about AI. But I hope that all of you found this interesting and informative, and you liked hearing that Brittany and I are a Cancer and a Libra. No, Virgo. I'm sorry. It's because you told me what Libra was a September. Yeah. You're a Virgo. Very Virgo. Very observant.
Read about me. You'll never forget it.
Yeah.
I'm very Virgo.
Exactly.
Through and through.
Okay, well, thank you so much for listening, guys, and we'll see you next time.
If you have any questions or other topics for us, please email them at hello@mylawyerfriendpodcast.com.
Thanks all.